All right, well, so I've had another epiphany. It's not a new one, but I think it just bears repeating because I think this is so important in today's world and the way the world turns. Um, so the previous video I did was the whole Rittenhouse thing, and I'm going to use that as the example because that just happens to be the current events, and the conversations are generally consumed by it. At least online, at least what Facebook and YouTube and everybody's willing to show me. And so y'all know me, I did an experiment. There's people that say things like, I just don't understand how anyone can justify such a vile, disgusting, obviously racist act. And so I would reply, if you would like, I am happy and willing to have this conversation with you and explain exactly how and why he was acquitted. I watched the whole trial, so I'm willing to take the time to have this conversation with you. Would you like to understand? And nobody ever responded. Why? Because they don't actually want to understand. They want to have a reason to be miserable. They want to have something to posture about. It's not about actually understanding. And this is probably an epiphany to nobody, but this goes back to the advice that I've given in the past, where I say you have to learn to be okay with people being wrong, especially if they're wrong about you, because it's not your problem. It's not your problem if they don't understand and if they don't get it. Most of the time, when people don't understand something, it's because they don't care about it. And people are weird in the sense that they don't understand something because they do not care about it, but then they turn around and speak as if they care about it. And people are just stupid like that. I don't get it. I don't understand. My brain works differently. I guess maybe that's why I'm in engineering and computer software. Because when I don't understand something, the first thing I want to do is go look at it and understand it and figure out why I don't understand it and fill in the gaps so that I do. But I'm coming to think that perhaps maybe not everybody's like me in that regard. Maybe some people are different. It's possible. Could happen, right? But no, I mean, it's just one of my little online experiments. Like, let me just see if I can actually get anybody to engage in a conversation about this. Nobody. And trust me, I tried. So, and this translates into our day-to-day lives. At some point, when we all get to adulthood, you just have to learn that other people's lack of knowledge and lack of understanding really just speaks to their unconscious motivators, right? Because if they were motivated into a specific topic or into a specific area, then they would also not have this innate misunderstanding of things, right? That's why I say you gotta be okay with people being wrong, especially when they are wrong about you. Why? Because they don't care about you. They are not motivated to care about you, right? So for all the reasons that people say things like, I don't understand how anybody could ever support this white supremacist, liberty raping, life destroying, blue-eyed devil, white child with a rifle. Well, those are your words. Anybody that watched the full 2 weeks of the trial and hung around for the 3 days of more than 3 days of jury deliberation understands how and why the acquittal happened. I'm not revisiting all of that stuff. It's complicated. And as one would expect with complex and complicated situations, there are justifications on both sides of it. But people only talk about 10% of both, of all of that stuff. If you don't hang around and if you don't seek to understand something, you won't understand it. That makes a hell of a lot of sense to me. If you go to a foreign country and you don't understand the language, if you don't care to learn the language, then you won't understand something. And then you walk around that country saying, I just don't understand why everybody's speaking blah, 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 blah. I don't understand them. Well, that's not their fault. That's your fault. You've been living there for 15 years, never bothered to learn the language in 15 years, and yet you're still walking around complaining that you don't understand. That's not the fault of the country. This is not the fault of the people speaking. That's your fault, right? Because, and I know over here in America, there's a certain crowd of people that are always like, why in the hell do I gotta press 1 to speak English, right? Or, we speak English here, learn the language or go home. Well, all I'm gonna say in that regard, me being American, is, what do you call somebody who speaks 2 languages? Bilingual. What do you call somebody who speaks 3 languages? Trilingual. What do you call somebody who speaks 1 language? American. It's not necessarily your fault that you grew up learning 1 language, but then once you're an adult, if you live your adult life without learning a 2nd language at all whatsoever, then if you say some shit like, I don't understand why I have to press 1 for English, that speaks to your lack of motivation into that specific area. And of course, to tie all of this to narcissism, they want to make it your fault or somebody else's fault that they don't understand something, right? So they're going to always tell you, I don't understand how on earth you could do that. I don't understand how on earth you could ever do something like that, right? And they're going to make it accusatory. They're going to make it sound like you're a giant piece of shit because they don't understand something. And hell, they probably do actually understand it, but they've just picked on you. They picked up on the fact that you're easy to control like that, because all they have to do is say they don't understand something, and then it gets your skirt all of Twitter going around trying to help them, make them understand. It's an excellent way of manipulating people to do shit, right? And that's on you to fix. So, because I used to fall into that all the time, because I'm a former teacher. My mother was a teacher. Education was important to me. I tend to be fact driven, and I love to learn and all that other stuff. And so just growing up, and even today, I love to help people learn shit. Look at my channel, right? Right. So when people are like, I don't understand, blah blah blah, my instinctive reaction is to hop in and be like, well, here, let me help you understand. Come to find out, big surprise, it took me way too many years to learn and understand. And when people say they don't understand something, and actually, it's like people would prefer to just wallow and sit in their lack of understanding. Better word is ignorance. But it's like that's their safe space. Like, that's their comfort zone. Is this nice big thick shell of ignorance. And I guess that's how some people have just learned to cope, right? Just say you don't understand something, and then all of the responsibilities and everything that's attached to that understanding flies right by you. So I think it's a defense mechanism for some people. I think. Probably. Makes a lot of sense. If you just play dumb, then that just becomes your modus operandi for getting through life, right? And then when you have somebody who gets through life by playing dumb, and somebody else who gets through life by by fact finding and learning and research, that's toxic. So yeah, just friendly reminder, learn to be okay with people being wrong. It's okay for people to be wrong, especially about you. It's not your problem. Let them be wrong about you, because if they cared about you, they would not be wrong about you. If they cared about you, they would not be wrong about you. And if they cared about you, then they would not be wrong about you. I cannot stress that enough. I didn't get that memo for the first, I'm 41 now. I didn't get that memo. I'm not really sure at what point I got it. But since the Rittenhouse acquittal, it's just been overwhelmingly in my face. Right? So, I'm sorry my skin is white and that I watched the trial. But that doesn't mean that I naturally side with Kyle on account of his skin color. That's ridiculous. Because I sure as hell did not side with Zimmerman. And I sure as hell haven't sided with anybody else that clearly committed murder. So, but that's, I'm not getting into all of that. The point of this video, people are ignorant about stuff like race, skin color. They jump to conclusions. They make assumptions about you. They observe a few bad apples. And then if you also happen to be a particular apple, they assume you're bad automatically. This is something everybody should know. Everybody knows this all too well. Everybody judges everyone for it all too much, but then everybody turns around and does it. So, and that's also where we're at. Anyways, I don't think I can beat this dead horse anymore. But I'd love to hear your thoughts, your comments. Please sound off in the comments. Please remember to like or share, and I'll see y'all on the next video.